Welcome everybody back to Cool Dog. Today is a very, very special episode because this has been a long time in the making. And honestly, if you told me that 10 years ago that I would have been in this position right here, I would have thought that, wow, I don't know how I ended up there. That's pretty crazy. But we have Jacksfilms today on the pod. How are you?
I am grand. It is such a privilege and an honor to be a part of this podcast. Thank you for having me.
I am so glad that you say that because we are genuinely excited to have you, and so are our viewers. Like when I mentioned on the low key that we might have a Jacksfilms episode in the pipeline, everybody got excited.
Oh well, good. All right, I'm gonna let down every single one of them.
No,
mediocrity.
You can't, man. There's
I
no
can and I
possible way
will.
that you could. No, I promise you can't.
I'll figure it out.
Okay.
You'll never disappoint us. I mean, just to like start off with probably one of like the hundreds of references that I'm gonna slot into your like older content. Right now, it looks like you're kind of rocking like a gamer god setup. You know what I mean?
This is like a Sean Evans interview.
Right. This is where I go. Wow, you did your homework. Wow. Thank you. That was very much the aesthetic I've turned unironically into Gamer God 88. I've become a lot of the things I've loathed in the past.
I think that happens to all of us eventually. Like,
right? It catches up to us.
It's like the stages of grief where like you end up like denying it at first, and then like you grow into accepting it, and it just becomes who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. You start off all bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and you have all these good intentions, and then reality hits you real hard and quick and repeatedly.
Ain't that the damn truth?
But,
amen.
Other than that, things are good. Amen. Yeah. Can we get an amen in the chat?
Amen.
So let's start off with the basics. How are you?
I can't complain. Life's good. So, okay, we're recording this in mid-January. I'm currently in like just the plotting and planning phase of the year where I'm just trying to set up all these dominoes throughout the year, right? Because January, it's a shit month for. Oh, can I curse in this podcast?
No, yeah, you curse as much as you want. Man.
Swear,
let it loose.
say
Let it
whatever
fly.
you want, man. It doesn't matter.
I can say the shit word. Okay. It's a shit month for AdSense revenue and all that good stuff. So you don't want to like upload all your good stuff this month. Like, what are you doing? So I'm taking this month to like not just stockpile, just plan. Like, what's my? I feel like every year I have a YouTube channel, and I feel like I have a different upload schedule not even year, just every like 6 months, right? So I'm gonna try something new. I'm planning stuff out. That's where I am right now. But it's fun. Here's the thing. I love the writing process probably more than the filming process. I hate filming. I love editing.
Me too. I've always been the same boat. I love when like I haven't made a video in a while, but I'm kind of trying to get back into it. And the writing process is, I think,
it's the best.
Probably the most fun because you're kind of laying the cornerstones. You're kind of like, that's when you get all of your ideas of like, oh, this is what I'm going to do in the video. And then it's like, you've laid it all down and then it's time to do it. And it's like, oh, why can't this just like appear?
Yes, exactly. Right. Why can't it just, I formulated it. Why can't I just manifest it to happen? I hate lighting. I hate cinematography because I suck at both. I don't know like where to put the fill light and the key light and the, you know what I mean? I just blast ring lights at me and hope for the best because I don't know shit. I'm 17 years on the platform. I still don't know how to light anything, but I love the plotting and the writing, and I'm trying to like make it a live game show happen this year. So it's just a lot of like, who can we have as guests? Can I have Aksually on as a guest? We'll see.
Maybe.
I'm going to ask him at some point, but fingers crossed. But that's a little peek into my world. How are you guys doing? Hooverr, actually, how are you doing?
How are you, Hooverr?
I'm doing great right now. I don't have a bed in the background. Usually just my bedroom because I'm moving. I'm moving from Texas to Kentucky, which is fun.
I was just going to dox you. Where to? Okay, cool.
Oh,
all right.
I'll put the address right now. It is exactly.
Please do.
Yeah,
coordinates.
and then it won't even matter because we'll be moved out in a month. But
from Texas to Kentucky.
Yeah, because I'm originally from Kentucky, and then everyone that's living here is currently moving all around the globe. So then I was like, you know what better to do than move back home with my mom. So that's gonna be fun for like a year, and then I'll move out again. But right now I'm just moving, so that's a whole
No,
process.
Moving's always fun in general. Just packing your whole life into boxes and mislabeling
And selling
everything.
and selling it all away.
all that good stuff. Well, no, best of luck with you on your move. That's always always a big chore, but it's always a big transition. Is it like this month? Is it happening like now?
Yeah, it's happening at the end of January.
Boy.
Like my U-Haul pod gets here 25th, and then I pack it up, and then I'll probably be gone like the 27th or 8th, and then everything's gone.
Moving is just
here's
so scary. Moving is always just like I think it's the idea of like you don't realize what a materialistic person you are until it's time to like pack up all of your materials and like move them across the country or whatever. It's literally the worst.
I don't know how Aaron and I we want to move back east at some point, and I don't know how the shit that's gonna happen. Talk about stuff. You know what I mean? Like, because we've lived here in LA in this spot, in our particular spot, since 2016, and you rack up a certain amount of stuff. So I have no idea. And by the way, it's you couldn't get further apart from West Coast to East Coast. Plus 3 small screaming dogs. I don't know how the shit we're gonna do that. I'm dreading it. But so yeah, moving's always hella fun.
I'm actually like kind of in the same boat where I'm like planning on moving in the next year, but mine is like across the planet. I'm not like 100% set on it yet, but I'm thinking about moving to Australia for like a little bit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like a fun idea, and I'm like really excited for it. But then like a couple days ago, I was thinking like, oh fuck, like I have all this shit.
No, you win. Out of the 3 of us, you absolutely win. So wait, where are you based right now?
I'm based in Estonia right now because that's where I'm from.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a trip, Estonia to Australia.
Yeah, it's here's the thing is I'm kind of used to traveling a while because like whenever I come to the US, it's like fucking 25 hours of travel, because I have to take like 2 flights. And then there's like layovers and shit. But Australia is a little bit of a, turns out it's even further somehow. I didn't know this planet could get any bigger.
Jesus.
But yeah, that's like, I was looking up some flights and I was like, I got to travel for like 35 hours to get to that thing. So I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, if I actually get there alive, I'll probably enjoy being there. But like, it's actually the matter of surviving the trip.
Good Lord. Yeah. Hey, best of luck. Maybe a little rip in advance, RIP, because that's what the shit, man.
No, yeah. It's terrible.
So wait, so why Australia? What's in Australia?
So for me, it was literally like, it used to be, I was very much like kind of, like 2019, I was kind of set on the idea of heading to the US. But I don't know, like the pandemic happened, a lot of things in my life changed. And I also realized like America really doesn't want like any more foreigners. Like the visa process is like pretty ridiculous. Like they don't even like, they don't play around with that stuff. So I recalibrated and I was kind of weighing my options and, I don't know. I'm like kind of in this phase of my life where I feel like I need to kind of do something bold and kind of like switch things up. I need something that's a little bit fresh. And I have a bunch of really good friends in Australia. So it'll be like a fun little adventure, I think. And maybe I'll like it. I don't know.
I think you will. That sounds, well, first off, far fewer shootings in Australia than the US. So
very true.
It's got that on us. But no, I think you're gonna have a blast. I'm a little jealous.
Have you ever been?
For you. Yeah, I have, and it's a fun spot. I love the people there. I mean, the accent alone I could drown in.
Oh,
but
the
they're also
beautiful. I love the accent.
Right, and they're friendly AF too. I was there in 2013. And for like 10 days, and it was a blast. It was just a really friendly culture, some really beautiful Sydney. Sydney's just a gorgeous city. Like I don't know where in Australia you're thinking because it's a huge country too. But
it is,
but yeah, there's some good stuff there.
Yeah, I'm thinking about I want to like kind of visit all over, but I think my destination is Melbourne. I think that's my that's a good one too. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I have a bunch of friends that live there, and they've always said that this is like the coolest place ever. So I'm going to visit first, obviously, because I don't want to just go immediately go blindsided in. But I'm excited to see how it turns out because it's kind of weird. Like in your head, you're always like, Australia is far, but you don't really understand how far it is until you really like either look at how long the trip would take, or you like start comparing like time differences and stuff. Because with the US, the time difference is like close to like, it must be like close to like 16 to 20 hours, somewhere like that, right?
It's a day. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in the future. They live in the future. Like you can get lotto numbers there and then come back and be a millionaire. But I'm pretty sure it's how it works like that.
Yeah,
but
that sounds about right.
Right? No, that's a dope adventure, man. I wish you best of luck on your travels.
Thank you. But you know what? Enough about me. Let's talk about you. Let's
the man of the hour. The man of the hour.
No thanks.
So, I mean, I don't even know where to start, man. You have such like a little lengthy. Those words are the opposite. I don't know why I put them next to each other, but
I like that though. It's like a little giant. It's an oxymoron. Little lengthy.
Yeah,
little
exactly.
Lengthy, Little lengthy.
That's my favorite rapper, Little Lengthy. He goes hard.
He does.
You've been doing this for a while. Like you've been. I did like a little bit of research on you real quick. Even though I have you, like I can safely say this, you were one of the first YouTubers I ever watched.
Damn.
Like.
That's nutty.
I think I've been on YouTube since like 2008, 2009. And you were definitely one of the first ones I found. Like one of those like commercials you used to do where you would like dub over them. I definitely saw one of those pretty early on. So yeah, like
those are the first things I did for sure.
What was the how did you find YouTube? Like what was that process like in like 2006? Because now it's like YouTube is so part of our daily life.
Right. Well, it wasn't nearly as ubiquitous as it was back then. So I just found it because people in my high school, back when I was still in high school, my classmates were just uploading goofy videos of them just kind of fucking around. Like after hours, they would just upload it to the site called youtube.com. And I didn't know anything about it, but I just really liked the sound of that, because back then there were some other competitors. There was rever.com. Maybe Daily Motion was one of them, but it's just they're all gone the way of the dinosaurs now. But I for whatever reason I got lucky and I stuck with YouTube, or I picked YouTube first and just put all my chips on that website just because of the name, honestly. And it was super easy to upload stuff. Videos looked fine even back then, so I figured, yeah, why not? Let's stick with attach our horses to that cart, or however the saying goes. Just some friends in high school. That's how I found out.
Did you always want to do creative things, or was this just kind of something that fell into your lap and you were like, this is my calling?
So the plan was to use YouTube as like a portfolio, because I originally, back in 06, I was in college from 06 to 2010, and my whole process was like, after I graduated, I would move out west. So I went to college in DC and moved out to Los Angeles in 2010. And my whole plan in college was I would pursue more traditional media things. Like I would try to work my way into film and television. So and maybe writing, some kind of capacity, right? Some kind of capacity of traditional media. And YouTube was just like, not even a side hustle. It was just a fun hobby. It was a goofy hobby.
Were you even able to like make money back in like 2006, 2007? Was that like commonplace?
It wasn't commonplace. I don't know if you could. You probably could have, but I personally didn't even know you could make money off of YouTube until like 08. And I didn't start making money until 09. And it wasn't a lot, but it was just something. I applied to the partner program in 08 or 09. And that's when that shift happened. That's when I realized, oh my God, this little hobby of mine could actually be something, maybe a bit more. Maybe not a career, but like a little side job or whatever. I still wanted to like go into traditional media in like 08, 09. But by the time I graduated in 2010, I moved out west, not for film and television, but for YouTube. Because even back then in 2010, all the big YouTubers, most of the biggest YouTubers in the world were based in Los Angeles. And that's when I moved out there, collaborated with them, kind of built my channel up slowly and surely. But yeah, I got very lucky starting as early as I did. It's a lot of it was luck, like the fact that I chose YouTube, you know, in 2006, and the fact that I just throughout college just kept uploading little bits, you know, the commercial parodies, some sketches, some songs and shit. Just like when I wasn't writing essays and doing homework and stuff and going out, you know, out in DC, I would just film these things thinking like, oh, it'll be fun. And I did it just because it was fun. I never in a million years when I started YouTube ever thought that it would be a career. You know, absolutely not. It was just a goofy little website to upload shit posts before shit post was
that's
a thing.
How like it's like how the perception of it has changed. Where I think nowadays, know, most kids even grow up, they are already kind of like aware of the fact that like, okay, I can turn this into a job. When I remember like back in the day, when I was watching and I was like making my own little stuff as like a little kid, I knew about becoming a partner. But the only reason why I wanted to become a partner was because back then they would have those like little banners on top of like your videos next to the sub button.
Yeah.
And I thought those were like the coolest thing ever. And that is literally the only reason why I wanted it. I didn't even like,
that's hilarious.
Yeah. Financials were not even like remotely even on my mind. I didn't care about money. I just wanted that banner so I could flex on everybody.
It was a flex. No, the banner absolutely was a flex. I remember that banner. I would customize it shittily in Photoshop every now and then back when, you know, that mattered. It's so funny. YouTube itself has gone through so many eras and changes. My dad just sent me the other day a screenshot of YouTube of what my channel looked like back in 2009 or something, and it looks like MySpace. It's a totally different beast.
The customization was insane. Like I remember you used to be able to, your banner would kind of like take up the whole page, like it would be the background of the thing, and you could like change the colors. And I think they also let you, and this was another thing that I thought was so cool. I to this day have no idea like what the setup of that actually looked like, but I remember they would have their banner, and then on the banner there would be like a Twitter icon, and you could click on that Twitter icon and it would take you to the Twitter. And I was like, whoa, that is so sick.
I had that at some point too. Like people were really slick with how they arranged it, right? Like you'd have to really configure the pixel width of everything in the Photoshop document, et cetera. But it's wild. It really, it's changed and it keeps changing. And it's exhausting. So
it used to be like I remember back in the day, especially, it felt like the UI changed like every 6 months, and it was like this huge event where everybody would like rush the comments and be like, "This is the worst thing ever. It's always been ruined." Like it's but I don't know. Like I feel like it definitely I do miss that about just web design in general. How most like profiles on any website that you signed up for, there was a lot more customization. You could bring a lot more of your own personality out. Nowadays, it's like the same uniform thing on every social media website where you get a profile picture, you get a banner, and if you're lucky, you get like a bio, you know, like
right.
If you really luck out. But back then it was like, back then it was just it was a whole other level. And then YouTube used to have the awards. I don't know if you remember that. They used to have like these awards on your profile where it's like top 50 most watched in the US. Like that.
It's like a little. It's like a gamer stat. You know, like hell yeah, I broke into the top 14 comedy most subscribed this week. It was really specific and niche. Like, but I screen capped them every fucking time. You know, I don't know where they're probably deleted, but like that was I forgot about that. Remember shifting gears a bit, like Facebook. So there was no news feed on Facebook for years. There was no news feed. You would just go to everyone's individual page, essentially, like the equivalent of a profile. Like you would just get, like if you wanted to see what so and so was up to, you would have to physically go to their page.
That's
and
crazy.
That talk about customization. There's like people had graffiti walls. It was ugly as shit because every page looked different, but it was personalized and customized. And it really goes with what you were saying, that you don't have that anymore. Everything's all the same. It's all monotone. There's a word I'm searching for, and I don't have the.
Very minimalist is like the like kind of the gist of it is just like
There's no charm.
Yeah, there isn't. Like even Twitter used to have it. They used to put on like a little background and stuff. Not anymore,
Nah, man. Nah, it's blue. It's blue and black everywhere. That's it. That's what you get.
Fucking Elon Musk.
No, literally.
Yeah.
It's all his fault.
And the fucking circular profile pictures, like Jesus Christ. There's nothing anymore. I mean, now they're like on Twitter. I realized there's some brands on Twitter, they get the square profile picture now. Where I'm like,
I saw that. Yeah.
It looks weird now. I don't know
why. Like that's a weird change, but yeah,
they're just kind of throwing shit at the wall until something hits. I guess they got no idea what they're doing on there.
I mean, like the different colored badges works fine. I think like a yellow badge means you're Charmin toilet paper. Like I get it. Blue means you're an influencer. Or whatever. Or blue means you bought it. Fucking loser.
Exactly. Blue means you have way too much disposable income.
Okay. So like, this is the best. On the mobile app, I have a verified tab. Like there's the mentions tab, the alt tab, and then I have a really cool verified tab. And that used to be a really cool way for me to like, check to see if any of my fellow verified users like my stuff. And now it's just clogged with people with 50 followers because they paid for the damn thing. And it pisses me right off, And that's gonna anger some people, but I don't care anymore. And I don't know who this person is. I don't like. Okay, you're verified, but you're not though. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
Old man yells at cloud. You cheated. Honestly,
They're posers.
It's pay to win. It's pay to win. And when everyone's verified, no one's verified.
Exactly.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
anyways, I'm not the first person who said that, but
it used to be a thing for me where like if I would see someone in my replies with a verified mark, it would be like, I won't lie, it was kind of like Russian roulette, but it was like 75% of the time it was actually someone notable, and then 25% of the time it was like one of those journalists with like 500 followers that somehow got verified. Yep. But it was still like it was an exciting event. It was like, okay, someone that's verified gives a shit about me. And now it's like, oh, they all have 25 followers and they're all like 14 years old. Like there's just
and where are these 14-year-olds getting $8 a month from? You know what I mean? Like what?
They're doing chores just to get fucking Twitter blue. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh my God, their allowance. That's right.
Oh God, what a great thing to spend your allowance on. They should instead be spending it on Twitch subs. Like, what's going on?
Damn,
that is the damn truth.
Damn straight.
These kids nowadays, man, they got their priorities completely out of order.
Actually, what are you streaming these days? I'm very bad with keeping up with fellow Twitch streamers, but I want to hear what you're streaming these days.
I am kind of like, truth be told, I think I'm like in the middle of kind of trying to transition between eras. I think I'm kind of I've done streaming for a few years now, and I'm kind of at my wit's end with it, where I feel like I've creatively exhausted a lot of what I can do with it. I still have fun with it, but I'm kind of trying to crawl my way back into YouTube and make a little something on there again.
I respect that. Very.
But yeah, I just kind of go live and talk or like play Mario Kart. That's kind of been my my bread and butter. I think Hoover's streams are like way more creative than mine most of the time. I just kind of like to sit there and talk like an old man.
Well, I was going to ask, like, Hooverr, what do you do?
I mean, I stream on Twitch too, but like now my new thing that I think is fun is like, I like going on TikTok live, because then there's always like these old like Republican people that are like live and like spewing nonsense, like Joe Biden touches kids, and you're like, oh my God, like this person's insane. So then like I try to go in there and like join them, and I'm like, hey, what are your pronouns? Like, who'd you vote for? And it's like poke around with them, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they're always like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Or like sometimes I'll like agree with them, and I'll be like, oh my God, yeah, like Dr. Fauci's crazy. Because I just think it's so funny to fuck with them. But I mean, it's like so hard because like
that's awesome.
My profile picture on TikTok is just my face smiling. But then one day I changed it to like a bald eagle with like a American flag. And it was like a cheat code. Yes. And like so many like 40-year-old Republicans were like, oh my God, like this is my kind of guy.
And my person.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, finally. I was like, I can do the Kentucky accent. I was like, yeah, man, like I've been watching Joe Biden, and that man's ruining our country, and Dr. Fauci is putting blood in our water and shit. And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. And I was like, oh my God. But it's just so fun to fuck with them. That's like my new thing to do.
I mean,
I really want to watch
TikTok lives nowadays really are they're They're like the modern day like Socratic seminars where they all come together and it's like they kind of like, you know, exchange their ideas of how society should be ran.
Oh, that's beautifully put. Wow. What a wonderful
it is
comparison.
really just this power of like, because it was only like, I feel like live stream being normalized is a thing that everybody does now. It only happened in the last like 6-7 years. You know what I mean? Like before then, Twitch was this like really, I used to just be even embarrassed to like be associated with any way. Like the fact that I'd ever even opened that website. But now it's like, you know, everybody has a phone, everybody can go live, and they just do it immediately. As soon as they see that big red button, they cannot avoid it.
Right.
So, you know, it's like an evolution of society, I guess.
It's evolution is a strong word. I don't know.
Ninja
might be going the other way.
The entire human race, you know. That's literally all it's because. It's because Ninja streamed with Drake, and then everyone now knows about Twitch and everything.
Honestly, that was a fucking turning point, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was the turning
insane.
point. That's when like not just Twitch, but just that like playing games live. It really did become quote unquote cool. I mean, like, and I know some people, you know, a lot of people poo-poo that and say like, what the fuck are you talking about? But like that was really a milestone. Like I remember where I was when that happened. I was here. But like I remember like when that was news, when like it just sounded like such a meme of a headline. Drake plays Fortnite with Ninja, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. But like, yeah, that was a real turning point.
It really is like one of those. It's a moment in history where literally you could go up to anyone that was on the internet at that point, and they'll describe that day to you with like exact details. Like I remember what I ate for breakfast that day, scrambled eggs. Like I remember everything. It was literally just such an insane cultural shift.
Yes.
And it's really cool when you can trace something back to something as exact as that, because
it is. And those moments are so rare too, right? Like that's a really good point, you know. And YouTube has some moments like that too, but like, man, you can really pinpoint when it started to become cool to like stream battle royale games, or just I don't know, like just that whole culture just changed everything.
Yeah. Well, I guess like I have a lot of I've like a lot of questions I want to ask you about your long journey on YouTube, your long career.
Hit me, baby. Hit me.
So you have had a really, I would say like extraordinary long career in a space where I think careers especially as long as yours are like basically impossible to like see. Like most people do not have this longevity that you have garnered. Like why do you think you have stuck around for as long as you have?
I don't know. Please kill me. I've been doing it too long. I don't know. I try so effing hard to keep what I do fresh, and I feel like I'm constantly paddling upstream. I really do. It's tough, man. Like I wish I could say something like, I don't know, I just do what I like, but like it's not that simple. It's really hard trying to figure out how can I do what I like, do what I want to do, but package it in a modern way, as we've discussed, in a way that keeps changing, in a format, on a website, on a platform that just keeps changing and reprioritizing what gets views. Everything, 5 years ago was more subscriber based, and now everything's algorithm based, and it's that terrifies me, because it's really, really hard to like control who sees your stuff. It's really hard to get your stuff seen now. It doesn't matter if you have a big fan base or not anymore. Not as much as it did like just a few years back, because everything is so tailored to. So, my wife Erin, she watches TikTok for hours every night, and they have her figured out so goddamn well. In terms of what content they feed her, and it's eerie, right? Because yes, Erin follows some people on TikTok, she follows some content creators, but it like they barely come up to her because it's just the machine. I sound so old and boomer like when I say this. I know what I sound like.
It's the machine.
I know exactly. It's a series of dudes. I know what I sound like when I say this, but I like. Again, the truth is, it doesn't really matter who follows you anymore. It's just, can your stuff get sourced by the algorithm? Can it, and you know, and you kind of have to think in broader terms now, in broader strokes. Like, I don't know. So that really has affected what I upload now, in a sense, because like I have a following on YouTube, but it's just not getting fed to these followers like it used to. And so back to the question you asked me an hour ago, these changes forced me to change with them, right?
Yeah.
So, because if I kept doing what I did 10 years ago, I wouldn't get views, you know, I wouldn't get nothing. So I have to keep shifting and like see what works and write off, and let me try that again. I see what works and I stick with that, and then whatever doesn't work, I just have to throw to the wayside. And for me, it's a lot of throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. I've been doing that for 17 years, honestly. Like, I have some formats that work better than others, but it's all about like, how can I keep it fresh? And you know, YouTube Shorts is now a factor that I have to fit into my work schedule.
Yeah.
And this year, more so than any other year, like, YouTube's really going hard with it. They're going to monetize them in February, so you have to make Shorts a part of your routine. So, and like, I don't dread it as much as I used to, because, you know, this is part of the whole like planning and plotting phase of my January. Like, that's all I'm doing. It's all like, all right, what can I output? How frequently can I output it? You know, what do I give to my editors? All that stuff. And when I say editors, I've only had a team. It's a relatively small team, but it's a team. It took me 15 years to figure out that I can't really edit everything myself anymore, and I need some help. Also, I need help with idea generation, because I was very stubborn. I was a very stubborn content creator, and now I've let loose a bit, and it's made everything so much better. So that has helped me, you know, leap into these new eras of YouTube. Having a team really, really helps. So if people, you know, if you're watching this and you're thinking like, how can I take my stuff to the next level without killing myself? A team, a small, it could be one editor, or it helps in a way that you can't even imagine. Just like, don't be stubborn like I was for a decade and a half. They'll figure out your editing style. I promise they will. In fact, all of my editors can edit better than I can. Right.
Yeah.
So
that's always the case. Is like, that was my big problem too, and that's, I think, why I burned out on YouTube for a while, was because I insisted on doing everything myself. I had friends that were like, I can help you like kind of write this, or like kind of help you come up with ideas. And I was like, no, this is me. This right. If I it's you know, it's called YouTube. It's not called
WeTube,
whatever
exactly.
Like, it's this weird mental block where you start to feel like you're a fraud if you let people help you.
Exactly.
And I'm kind of like, I've in the last couple of years started opening up to it more, that like, okay, I think it's a good idea to have people help me, because that way I can keep things more fresh. I won't burn out as easily. I don't feel like I have like the weight of the world on me, because I have people that will, you know, support me. It's very helpful, I think. And especially, immensely. I think as well, having like friends that are in the space too, that helps a lot too, because you kind of, because I think a lot of the job is just like, you kind of sit in your room alone trying to think of like, oh man, what am I going to do?
I take a lot of long walks, a lot of long hot showers, just idea forming, driving. Okay, I'm a weirdo that whenever I drive, you know, like to the grocery store, to the gym or whatever, I don't put on any music, because that's when I'm like a serial killer, right? Just silence. But that's because my head's so loud. All I'm doing is like, I'm talking to myself in my head. I'm fleshing out skits. I'm fleshing out like game show ideas. I'm fleshing out stuff and how to do it. And is this funny? Is this worthwhile? A lot. That's all I do, because it's really loud up here. And you have to, you have to keep it fresh. You have to have that time to yourself, because you can't just like, I don't know. There are some companies out there and sponsors that think it takes 5 minutes to make a 5-minute video or 30 minutes to make a 30-minute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, this shit takes time. It can take a month to make a 30-minute video, etc. but you have to have that time for yourself to flesh out and think. I do a lot of talking to myself too. I like walk around the house just like pacing back and forth with my little 3 dogs trailing me behind. I just do laps in the kitchen, just talking to myself, fleshing out like, you know, a 2-man sketch, right? Is this funny? It's that's the question I keep asking myself. Is this funny? Is this a thing? Is this good?
Yeah, that's I feel like talking to yourself in general, I think it's kind of important. You kind of need to treat yourself as a person, you know what I mean? Like I think oftentimes we look at ourselves as these kind of like, I don't know, I don't even know how to like specifically articulate myself on this, but we don't like really humanize ourselves a lot. But I think, you know, because we view as like talking to ourselves as like, oh, you're crazy. You're out of your goddamn mind if you do that. But, you know, it's useful as well because I don't know, getting your ideas out of your head and into the world kind of with your voice kind of, I don't know, it brings them to
Makes
life
it
a little
realer.
bit more. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like the struggle of that is a little bit real of there's always this stress in the back of your mind where you're kind of like, oh, like I think when I first got into this, I immediately became pretty anxious like a few months after I started doing it full time because I was like, oh man, like what if I never come up with anything ever again, or like what if I never make a funny joke again, like what am I going to do then? And it's this constant hamster wheel of, okay, I got to figure something out, I gotta do something this, I gotta do something like that. And it's not only just switching it up for the sake of the audience, but it's also for yourself, you know, because doing the same thing over and over again, it becomes so mind numbing. It becomes
mind numbing, and then it kills any passion and joy that you once loved doing. I've hit that wall several times in my, you know, 17 years on YouTube, where I used to like I said, I started doing YouTube just because I never considered it a career. I didn't think you could make money off YouTube when I started. It was just fun. I did it for the passion of video making. And a few years ago, I really hit a wall. You know, I was making Yai episode 4076 or something, and I just didn't have any fun with it at all. But it was just like, well, I have to do it. There are deadlines and sponsors now. It's just, you know, and I have to force myself to make this thing that I really hate doing. So luckily, I found ways to like freshen it up, and I have a team that like forces me to keep it fresh, but we're spitballing ideas with each other. That's like, oh I would never think of that myself. Thank God I have these other heads in the room, you know, firing ideas back at me, and we workshop them until it's something. So, yeah, it's just when you hit a wall, you just have to figure out how to like think outside the box and do something completely different. Because if you do the same thing over and over again, it's going to kill you.
Yeah. I think the problem for a lot of people stems from the fact that risk, especially in this job, is a little bit scary, because it's like, oh, if I do this, then, you know, it's like, what if nobody likes it and I completely die out? But if the algorithm doesn't feed it because it doesn't perform as well, and then it's like, oh, I'll never do that again. That sucks. That's a real fear of mine. But yeah, exactly. When that 10 out of 10 hits on the fucking
dashboard,
oh my God. That's how you know.
So real. Sucks. It's like, oh, this is going to be a banger. Oh, no. Oh, people. And then there's the text message with it that's like, people aren't clicking this as often as usual. Fuck you. That sucks. It's so real.
That's literally like why you got to just go into it with like zero expectations, because the amount of times I've like hyped myself up and like, ooh, like, because the annoying shit is, sometimes, like I made this one video where I do you know who Chills is? The top 10 guy? Yeah, love him. I did a parody video of him, and it was just like this random thing that I cooked up because I was like sleep deprived, and I was like, oh, I'll just throw it on the main channel. I don't fucking care. That video has like over 1 million views now.
Amazing.
So it's like, you never know what is gonna do well. You have like you have the things where like, okay, obviously sometimes you do know and it works out, but sometimes you have things where like, I mean, the formula's here, everybody's gonna like it,
right? And
then you put it out there and like not a single person gives a fuck.
I say this all the time, like to this day I never ever know if something's going to be a banger or not, and I'm always wrong. every single time I upload, like, this is it. This is the one that's gonna it's gonna bring me back, baby. Oh, 10 out of 10. And then a fucking shit post that I came up with at like 4 a.m, and I throw up, in like 30 minutes from idea to YouTube. That's the one that goes viral. Like, get out of here. And it's honestly, wash, rinse, repeat. My 17 years that I still to this day cannot successfully predict what will be a flop and what will be a hit. No idea.
Yeah, it's hard.
And it keeps me on my toes. It's fun. I guess it keeps it fresh because I still don't
feed
know.
The machine.
I'm always
you just
wrong.
gotta feed the machine.
And boy, do we feed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Do you feel like I mean, for me personally, the idea that it is all at the end of the day, you have to please the algorithm. It's like you're this like old person from like 50,000 years ago, where it's like you think there's like some kind of sun god and you have to like bring it gifts.
Yes.
To me, it feels creatively, sometimes it just feels completely, it stifles me, because I feel like, oh, if I do this, then like maybe I won't eat next month, but like I'll enjoy it. But then I guess it's just about finding a balance of something that you enjoy enough and something that the algorithm also is like, you know what, I'll give you a little treat for this one.
So what you're doing right now is you're like taking all the thoughts from inside my brain right now. So I real briefly, like, I constantly go back and forth. What is that right balance, right? Like, what's for me, what's for them? How do I meet that creamy middle? How do I make myself happy while also not starving, right?
Yeah.
So last year was all of 2022, which is kind of like a whirlwind for me. I did some quick videos and I did some videos that took months to produce. And in December, I kind of went wild. I uploaded something in early December that was months in the making. It was a choose your own adventure. Remember those old choose your own adventures from YouTube 10 years ago? I did that. I did something called Can You Seduce the Grinch? And it was just through like a series of choices. Could you woo the Grinch and save Christmas and and fuck the Grinch? And it was this complex project that took me months to write, and literal like days, like straight days of recording and editing everything. All in all, the whole series is 105 videos. Like, if you branch out the choose your own adventure, if you take every path, it's 105 different videos with dozens of different endings and blah blah blah. And I'm not saying this is like a flex to show off. I'm saying like this was my passion project for months, and I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I got it out of my system. I will probably never do that again because it really affects my output. So the last like couple of months since then, I've really concentrated on like, all right, how can I output a successful, constant flow of stuff that's not going to kill me, but also won't like creatively stifle me. And I say like, I think I figured it out. Right. But it's also like, who knows at this point, but, and there's more fine tuning and stuff, but yeah, that is what I'm really trying for this year. It's like, how can some creative gambles, but not the ones that are going to like have me hold up in a room for 3 months trying to write it. It's I can't really do that, but I can still have fun. So that's always that's the creator's gamble. Right. But you have to find that balance, and, I'm still trying to find it, right? But yeah, I think it's possible. I think it is attainable. I think you can have your cake and eat it too in this sense. Just as like, it does suck that you have to have some kind of steady output, steady flow of stuff if you want to stay relevant to some degree. But you can have fun with it, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah,
that's the most important part. I think is like, I think people can tell if when you're not having fun. It's very important that you are also
call you out on it,
because 100%. And I think that's kind of like you want an audience that does that in a way. Like, you kind of want,
they have to kind of keep you on it. Yeah, keep you on your toes.
Exactly. Because then you kind of, it serves as a reminder of like, okay, maybe I'll try something else now. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I'm forcing myself to do this. And I have like, before I transition into this other question, I have a fuck, marry, kill for you. Okay,
Oh,
an interesting
shit.
one.
Oh shit! All right.
Fuck, marry, kill. YGS, Yai, Jackass.
Ooh.
No, this is easy for me. Kill YGS. YGS is dead. It's a dinosaur, and I kind of stopped doing it because it started getting a bit mean spirited. And there's only so much you can do with YGS. So I'm happy with that. Like, there are too many episodes of it anyways. Let it die.
Yeah.
And then there's Yai, and what was the other one?
Jackass.
It was Jackass. Okay. Who am I fucking? Who am I marrying? Shit. All right, this one kind of hurts to say. I think I'd fuck Jackass and marry Yai, and here's why.
Oh.
Jackass is like a good little fun time in the sack, but there's only so much you can do with it, because at the end of the day, it's a Q&A show. Yeah. And I love doing, I'm going to try to bring back, I kind of took a big break for like a year last year, but this year I'm going to try to, instead of weekly, I'll bring it back like monthly. And I do it blind so that I don't even know the questions yet until I literally peel them off a board. It's a lot of fun, but I can't do it every week, and I don't think people want it every week. But it is a somewhat limiting, I love doing it, but it's somewhat of a limiting format, right? It's a guy answering questions. Yai, I would marry Yai, and I would fuck Yai every day, happily as a married couple. But because there's so much you can do with Yai, there's a million things you can do with Yai. I've spun off multiple series off of one-off Yais, like Fix Your Pics and Fix Your Twitter bios and Fake Facts and the worst Christmas gifts. So many of them have become like near annual traditions, and I'll never run out of things to ask for Yai. And like I'm bringing back a game show around Yai. I did a tour based on Yai. I made a video game that's dead based off Yai. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot to, like, I'm not done with Yai. I'll probably never be done with it, because you don't even have to call it Yai. Like, the format is there, but you can call it whatever you want. Just because all Yai means is just some interactivity with your audience, with your viewers. That's all it is. And there are so many ways to do it. Like, it goes beyond me asking a question and they answer back, although, there are a zillion ways for that. But then you have like Photoshop challenges and film festivals and this and that. There's so much you can do with it. So I would marry Yai.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I honestly thought it was going to be the opposite of like fuck Yai and then marry Jackass, but that makes a lot of sense, because
that's why it pains me, because like Jackass is my baby too, but like it's one night stand with Jackass.
I was like Jackass was like my favorite series of yours for a while. I think I was like,
no shit.
I remember when it first appeared, I thought every video was so funny. I was like,
oh, thank you.
I would like rewatch them, and like that's all. I feel like was that when Eric first appeared in your content? I don't remember.
I'm trying to think. I think Eric was more he did more Your Grammar Sucks stuff with me.
Right.
Once or twice. And maybe, and certainly sketches and stuff. But I think out of the three I mentioned, it was probably, he was in Your Grammar Sucks 100. We had like a
classic.
We included a drinking game, or a few drinking games in there. Like, or no. I'm sorry, that's wrong. It was in Your Grammar Sucks 100. We just had a little bar cart between us, but we would grade. That's what we did. We were grading. Can't remember my own fucking videos. We were grading comments. We would read off a comment and be like, I'm giving that a B for it could be better. Yeah, shit like that. But we got wasted during that because, it's Eric and me. Like, that's all we do is, whenever we get together, we have some whiskey, have a good time.
I when we were all in Tampa for Creator Clash, there was that after party at, I think, like Moist Critical's warehouse or something.
Oh my God. So much fun. Yeah,
a lot of fun. And at that party, because I've met Eric prior. I met him at like 2019 VidCon, I think, and he was one of those guys who are also like similar to you, where I was like, when I met him, I was like, "Whoo, pinch me! This is incredible."
He's Eric's good fucking people. That's how I feel still. Yeah. He's just genuinely as nice and as cool and as kind and funny as you think he is. But yes, continue. So Critical's warehouse.
He is literally like that is literally the first impression I got of him, where because I remember the first time I met him, I went up to him and I was like, oh, dude, like, I love your stuff. And he was like, oh, my name's Eric. Like, he introduced himself, which I think is always like the telltale sign of like, even if you go up to them being like, I'm a fan, they still introduce themselves. That's, to me, that is such like a nice, like gracious little thing. But then, we like followed each other, didn't really like interact until the Tampa trip. And then he saw me at the warehouse. He was like, hey, you're Aksel, right? Let's go get a drink. And then we got a drink together.
Love that.
And I was already like pretty drunk by that point, and I could tell he was too because he had just fought. So he was like, it was like his like big reward.
yeah. He was out of
and
it.
We couldn't find like any sort of shot glasses or anything, and he just found this huge bottle of Jack Daniels, and we took these red Solo cups. He filled us up. Like there was like, I think there was like 3 shots worth of Jack Daniels in there, and I thought we were supposed to drink it all because I was like a little bit drunk, and I think he was like. Thinking back at it, I think he said like, yeah, let's just sip this. But I was like, oh, okay. I was like,
first off, I'm shocked that Eric would even consider that and introduce that. Let's sip this. That's not the
this
Eric
is to
I
have a
know.
good conversation, you know. Don't waste it all on one goal.
That's probably why when I heard it, I was like, you know what? Maybe I hallucinated him saying that. I don't think I heard
It never
him. Right.
happened.
I was like,
dude, Eric wasn't even at that party. Who were you drinking with?
He didn't fight that night at all. Like, what the fuck are you on?
Nah, what? You dreamed
But
that.
we did our cheers, and then I just went, and it was all in my mouth, and like I got half of it down, and then I was just considering like, and I realized like I had 3 shots worth of Jack Daniels in my mouth, and I'm not great with shots to begin with. And he looks at me, and he's like, and then he kind of like looks over, and he looks at my cup, and he's like, "You drank all of it, didn't you?" And I was like, mm-hmm. He's like, "You're crazy," and then he was like pointing out, "This guy's crazy," and that's like one of those memories that I'll always have where I'm like, I had that with him.
Cherish that. I love that. That's a great story. That's a really good Eric story too.
It is.
And a hell of a you story. My God. So I'll bet you can never drink Jack Daniels ever again. Because holy shit.
No, probably not. Honestly, I think I just reached like my limit for the rest of my life.
This is super kind of related, a bit more random, but I just got back from the grocery store yesterday. I'm really excited. I picked up a bottle of Applejack. You ever had that?
Yes, I've
Jack
had
Daniels.
that.
I'm so excited. Oh my God. I'm like waiting for the weekend. Like, oh man, I'm just gonna put that in my gullet. Anyways,
I've never had Applejack. I think
I recommend
here they
it.
only give us the old regular Jack Daniels. They don't really let us experiment with the different.
That's a shame. Well, then hopefully in Australia you have a bit more to choose from.
Oh yeah,
But maybe it didn't make its way there either. I don't know. I haven't been there in a decade. So, but
Do you have a favorite drink? What's your drink of choice?
I got so many. So like, if I want to have a good time, and they have it or they'll allow it, a Long Island iced tea. You can't go wrong with that.
Same. Oh my God, same.
Let's go.
That's
Let's
a good
go.
choice.
Right. Just a strong, like if you want to have a good time, and you want to be economical about it, right? And really get the most bang for your buck. You can't do any better than a Long Island iced tea. But lately though, I've been doing old fashions. I don't know. I just like a fancy like giant ice cube in a small glass, old fashioned. It's a good whiskey drink.
Little cigar.
How dare you? Those are horrible for you. A cigar?
You know,
My body's
actually,
a temple.
the Tampa was the first, like, because a bunch of my friends bought cigars as like jokes so we could be ringside with cigars.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And then like one of my friends was just kind of like, "Have you ever actually like smoked a cigar?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "I haven't either." So then we lit it up and we tried it, and like I was kind of like, "This is the most pointless shit I think I've ever done in my life." There's absolutely no point to this.
I like that you had it though, like as a prop, because that's a great prop. Yeah.
Yeah. It was. They came in clutch with that. It was genius because everyone was kind of passing around, and I mean, honestly, it even feels a little bit awkward to hold. Like it's so big. Like, what am I?
Right.
How am I? Where am I putting
Right.
this?
Do you grip it like fingers or the actual like what? Like honestly, like I've never held a cigar in my hands before, so I have no idea. Because like this does seem like a bit like, you know, because it's a chonky boy. It's a chode, right?
Yeah.
So like I don't like
smoking on
it's a big boy.
It is just it made me like you know, not to like promote cigarettes on the show, but it made me respect the form factor of cigarettes way more because they're meant to, you know, it's like perfect. You slot them right in the middle here.
It's a good size, absolutely.
Exactly.
For the hand, for the human hand, it's a great size.
Say what you want about cigarettes, they're a good size. But do you have, okay, so this is because I think you at times have been like quite honest when you're like, I'm going through an era right now where
Yeah.
things are not working. I'm a little bit burnt out. I'm a little
Yeah.
bit tired of what I'm doing. And I think it's time to switch things up. Like, you actually, funnily enough, the first time I was experiencing like creator burnout in like 2019, I think you posted a video literally the same week where you were kind of saying the same thing where it's like, yeah, I don't know, like things just aren't like feeling the same right now. Like I got to find that drive again. Do you have like in your mind when you look back at your 17 years, do you have like eras where you're like, oh, this was a really good time for me, and eras where like, oh, I was really struggling during this period?
Yeah, I can pinpoint two of them for you right now. I think 2017 was a really good, creatively good year for me. I think it was just happier. So like all of 2017, we were engaged. Because I proposed to my now wife in December of 2016. We got married in April of 2018. So all of 2017 was our really fun engagement year. And I think it just like that happiness kind of shone through my videos because I made a shit ton of music. I made a lot of music videos and original songs and stuff. And to me, that's always a sign. Like if I'm making a lot of music, that means like creatively I'm there. Because a music video is an original music video, right? Let alone like not just a song, but let alone a whole ass music video. That's tough to do. And I did that like 7 or 8 times that year.
Damn.
And I just and it wasn't like there were sketches and stuff. There were parodies. I don't know. Like the creative juices were a-flowing in 2017. That for me, I always look back on that and go, I used to be funny. I do that a lot.
I feel that. I do that same to myself where I'm like, oh man, I was like crazy during this
what
time.
happened?
Like, what the hell?
I would never come up with that joke now. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm surprised I made that joke.
Exactly. Yeah.
The flip side of your question, when I felt like creatively bankrupt or whatever, I can pinpoint that too. I know you mentioned that week in 2019, but I'm going to say all of 2020, I struggled. I fucking struggled all of 2020. I hated, like there was like a long stretch of time where I just like really hated getting out of bed in the morning. Like genuinely didn't want to do anything because like obviously like I think a lot of us can relate to that. 2020, it was the year of the pandemic, the quarantine. A lot of us were holed up in our houses. And so I had nothing going for me creatively because I'm no longer going outside. I'm no longer hanging out with friends and bouncing off of, our own enthusiasm and ideas and everything. I'm holed up in a room, in a house. I'm not doing anything. And that really, really affected my output. And then compound that with I just keep feeling like I'm doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. So it was just kind of double whammy of unproductiveness and hating what I did for a living, and not really seeing that light at the end of the tunnel, and just not really having an exit strategy. And it was awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can really pinpoint those 2 years. All the other years were a blur. But those are the 2 years I can really tell you when I was happy and sad.
Did you ever at those points where you were feeling a little bit low, did you ever think like maybe it's time I hang up the boots? Like
definitely. Like I even back in 2020, I was like, I've been doing this long enough, right? Like what else do I have to say? What else do I have to make? Yeah, and like I'm trying to think like what went through my head when I was thinking that. Like I don't know what I would have done next. It's not like I could ever retire. Like I'm not there. You know what I mean? It's like I don't even have to work. Like oh no, I very much have to. You know what I mean? So I don't know what my exit strategy would have been, but I absolutely thought like I don't know what I'm gonna do next, but it can't be YouTube. I can't, I will say this though. I do like now I'm in a much better place, obviously, but I'm thankfully I'm in a much better place, creatively speaking. I've got fun ideas. I'm in that really fun, ideation phase when you're just like going through ideas and stuff. But at the same time, I really do like more than ever, I'm really trying to think a bit outside of YouTube. Like, yeah, I've got a strategy for YouTube, but like what else you're going to do, right? Because I understand that I don't want to be still doing YouTube in my 40s and 50s. Like, I just don't see that happening. I really don't. So how do we go, how do we diversify our efforts and you know, what other mediums can we pursue? You know, keep the branding, but where else can we take it? So that's another fun little challenge for me to figure out this year.
Do you think like live shows are kind of a part of that, like trying to dabble in
Absolutely.
these? Yeah,
because I did this Yai Live tour. That's the wrong breast. There you go. That's the shirt.
Oh, there
it's
it
mirrored,
is.
of course. But yeah, so like this was a big, like, I loved doing this. So this is a tour that I did, basically taking my Yai show that I do on YouTube and my Yai live show that I used to do on Twitch, and doing that in front of a live audience on stage, where like I'm the host and we have people backstage picking answers, and people use their phones to like submit their answers to questions, and we bring winners up on stage. It was so much fun. We did about 25 shows, and there were 2 legs of this tour. So the first leg was at the tail end of 2021, and then this past summer in 2022, we did a bunch of shows in Texas, and then all along the West Coast, and I loved it. I really, really loved it. I never got stage fright just because I loved doing it. I kind of turn into this different person when I'm on stage. Like this personality comes through that just doesn't really exist any other time. But it's really fun because I'm like, the audience is heckling me and I heckle them right back. It's this really cool relationship. And
that's fun.
You know, it was so fun. And I want to figure out, all right, how do we do that more? Right. And not necessarily a tour per se, but like, how do we bottle that and package that into other formats, other mediums? But figuring that out is a lot of fun. And that's what I'm really trying to, like, that's one of the challenges that I don't even call it a challenge. It's just one of the things that I really want to keep doing this year. So that's how I try to keep it fresh, because you have to, otherwise you'll shoot yourself. So
yeah, ain't that the damn truth?
Not literally,
that
it's just like, you know, or maybe, you know,
just figuratively. Oh, I never. But I like Yai. When we were talking earlier about like the Ninja Drake kind of like cultural moment, Yai, and I feel like as me and Hooverr can both attest to this, as especially because we were like going to school back then, back when Yai started coming out. Yai was a cultural moment.
It was because definitely
100%, because I remember like in my friend group, we would all try to get on Yai, and then a couple of them got on, and it was always like they'd be like the talk of the town for the next like 2 weeks. And every time they would get let on Yai, it would be like those that scene in Toy Story with the vending machine where all those aliens are like waiting to be picked by the claw. That's what it felt like. It was just total like those same friends that I'm talking about, they'll probably see this episode and they'll be like, that's fucking crazy that you did that. You talked to Jacksfilms.
That is so cool to hear, man. I love hearing that. That makes me happy.
I'm glad it does. It should, because you've had a fucking long ass career, and your impact that you've left has been like, you know, you've influenced a lot of people now that I think are as well like huge creators, you know, myself included. Well, I'm not a huge creator, but you know, myself included.
You're the biggest in the block, biggest in Estonia.
Hell yeah.
That is true. I am one of the, you know, I'm an Estonian celebrity.
I mean, that's a fucking flex, man. That's cool.
Yeah, it's something I can put to my name. But yeah, it's stuff like that where, you know, you got like, I hope you look back at that and you're like, you know what, that's what I did, and that is sick, because you know it really is, because literally, like I said earlier, 17 years in this fucking career, that is like insane. And the fact that you're having fun with it, you got your audience, you got like, and also like at this point, although we talked algorithmically, you know, you got your diehards. I know you do. These people, like, I know for a fact, like, I'll never stop keeping up with Jacksfilms, never in my life. You know, I got to keep tabs with this man until I croak of old age, you know.
I hope so. I need it. I need your support. I need those diehard support. No, thanks, man. No, it's fun. It's a fun challenge to just try to, like, not reinvent myself, but just like keeping up with the, you know, with the changes and everything, as we've all seen YouTube do way too often. But yeah, it's just I'm in a good spot right now, like, mentally. it's fun for me right now. But I'll tell you this, like there, as I've said before in this podcast, like there are times where I just really hit a wall. And so, and that I think that's inevitable if you do something for as long as I've been doing it, it's going to happen. So the question is, can you get around it? And I've been fortunate enough that I have, but not without outside help.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's like a beautiful message of teamwork.
Oh my God. It makes the dream work, man.
If you help your friends, they'll have a 17-year long career on YouTube, and they'll have a legacy as good as Jacksfilms is. Do you have any sketches from back in the day? Which, by the way, I gotta call you out on something. All right,
Let's go. Yeah.
You calling your little thing PMS at me as like a 12-year-old watching your stuff. I found out what PMS actually was like a few years later, because this girl was like talking, I was like, yeah, I'm PMSing. And I was like, what do you mean? Like the thing that Jacksfilms does? She had no fucking idea what I was talking about.
You're coming up with a parody?
Yeah, literally. I was like, what? A girl that watches Jacksfilms? This is crazy.
Oh my God. I call on my little viewers, my little PMSers, you know, like that's just a fun little, I wish we had that colloquiative. That's awesome. I'm really glad that happened to you.
Yeah, you almost ruined my life. So I hope you're proud of that.
I'm really proud. I'm really happy that took place. That's really awesome.
You contributed to the mis-sexual education of the youth in America. I
love spreading misinformation. It's kind of what I do. So you're welcome.
Thank you. But do you have a sketch from that time where you're like, you look back at that sketch and you're like, that hit hard? Because like, for example, one of my favorite, and it's a little bit of a niche one, and I think I tweeted it at you once, where it's like, I love the I eat my cereal dry one. I don't know why. It's kind of catchy. It's just kind of like random that you even did that. It's always been one of my favorites. Yeah,
it is super random. Yeah, so those a lot. Basically every song I've ever written and uploaded to YouTube, it's just kind of an earworm that gets stuck in my head and I have to put it out in the world. That's it. So I'm not very passionate about cereal and or eating it dry, but it was just a jingle and a tune that once it like played in my head, I had to like find a keyboard and, you know, flesh it out and figure out like, that's all songwriting is for me. It's just like a tune pops in my head. So then it's like, all right, shit. Well, let's figure out the chords. What's the harmony? Like, what's the melody? And then I continue until it's out in the world. So that's really funny that you bring that up, because that was just like a fucking brain fart that was just like, well, I have to put this out there. In terms of a specific sketch that I'm proud of, I'm proud of the music videos. I think usually most. More so than any sketches, because like Twitter for Android, I'm proud of. There's this thing I did called Twitter for Android where I uploaded I tweeted something every day for every day of 2019. It all started like January 1st. I just tweeted out the words Twitter for Android. So then what I would do is I would screen cap it, and then January 2nd I would upload that screen cap and then I tweet out Twitter for Android. And then every day I would screen cap. So I would keep doing that until like it looked like a tunnel. It just looked like this weird, surreal black hole of text. And I turned that into like I did this every day in 2019 and turned that into like a flipbook style animated music video with a chorus and different verses. And I had to like structure the song so I knew when to tweet certain words and letters and symbols. That might be the one I'm most proud of, because that really did take a year. It took exactly 1 year to make. And I got lucky with it. Because there were days where I would you know what happened? Okay. So like late in the year, we were on holiday, and we were, where the fuck were we? We were in Moorea in the Polynesian islands, and in French Polynesia. And I dropped my phone. So I did this from my phone every day, right? I would screen cap from my phone and save it and do whatever the fuck with it. Being the idiot I am, I wanted to take pictures of all the little fishies in the coral reefs, right? Because we stayed in one of those like bungalows out on a pier, and you can like dive in and like snorkel and look at the fish, right? So I didn't have a GoPro with me at that point. Don't know why. But I figured, oh, honey, we don't need a GoPro. We'll take the Ziploc bag, put my phone in it, and, you know, it's watertight. It's airtight. We'll just like, I'll press record and we'll get all the fishies. So my phone got bricked into salt water in seconds.
Oh my God.
So my primary and my Twitter for Android masterpiece isn't finished yet. So what do? So I reached out on Discord on one of my friends and I was like, hey buddy, could you do me a favor? And I had him do it. I had him like screen cap or whatever and send it to me. So there were a couple of days where I couldn't, like, I was without a phone and I had to rely on a third party. It was terrifying because it was like I'm without a phone and I have to do this stupid project that I'm like 12 months into. Like I can't really like bail out of it now. But yeah, that's the one I think I'm probably the most proud of. It's not the funniest thing I've done. It's not funny at all. But I think in terms of pride, and there are more like satirical videos I've made that I'm proud of in that sense. Like, yeah, I really laid into the man with like this video, whatever I was saying about society. I of course I can't think of a single fucking example, but that's the one. It's not even a sketch, but that's the one I'm probably the most proud of right now.
That's that. I remember when you were putting that together, the whole internet was kind of like, "What is he cooking up? Like, what is happening?"
Right. Well, it was super annoying. This fucking asshole is like tweeting this stupid thing every day. So that's when I was like, "Oh, just wait until January, you motherfucker." So I was very happy, and it got a really good critical reception from viewers. A lot of people were like, "Oh, that's what he was," and that was super rewarding to see. Because like it was overwhelmingly like, oh, you know what? That's kind of cool. And that was like, okay, it was worth it. But I'll tell you this, I'll never do that again because it made 2019 go by way too quick for me.
Really?
Yeah. When you do something every day and it becomes part of your routine and you kind of like rely on it and it kind of like it's centered around like my, I don't know it was like the focus of every day for me. Like if I forget, I can't forget. Otherwise I'm fucked. It really made the year go by in a not good way. Like it was too quick. So I never want to do that again. Because I'm old and I don't want to like waste my years and have them go by too quickly, but I'm glad I did it. It's like, great. File it under things I'm glad I did. Never again.
Yeah. It was one of those like unique Jacksfilms things, you know, one of those like, it was like, because you know you have your series and then you have like little bits like that where you can just
I get the one-offs every once and again. I do the one-off that like it's a bit for me. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's very cool.
Thank you.
I have we have like a couple of more questions for you. We don't want to hold you off too long.
Hit me, baby. I'm good. I'm having a good time.
I feel like this is like a question that I guess would be from like any. Like most of our viewers, you know, we're all Gen Zers and we grew up watching YouTube. We watched like YouTube vlogs in like 2011, 2012.
Right.
And I think like the craziest part of every year during that time was when all the YouTubers would go to like those early vidcons. They would.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say rewind. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, we can get into rewind too. Like that's also. But I guess like I don't know what my specific question is here, but like. How was it? How were those early vidcons when it was like just starting?
The best. So I'll tell you I miss those days so hard because I missed the very first vidcon, but I went to the second and I went to the next like 8 or 9 after that, in a row. And I'll tell you, I could watch like year after year. I could see the shift, from this fun, you know, passion-filled, gathering of creators and YouTubers to the Viacom-owned corporate, you know, Nickelodeon ball pit thing that it turned into, right?
Yeah.
But before then, the early years were the best. It wasn't a convention center. It was a ballroom in a hotel, right? Like those grand ballrooms and it was so barren. There were it was hilarious. The first one I ever went to, it looked like there was just a few dozen people on the floor at any given time. And I loved it because you could run up to someone and go like, hey, I know you. You're so-and-so from this channel. And then they would go, hey, I know you. you're so and so from that channel, and you take a selfie, and then you'd exchange numbers, and then you'd become friends for life. And that's not the thing anymore. But it was so, like, I can't stress this enough. The attendance for the first VidCon I went to, the second one ever, was I don't think it was more than a few thousand. I think it was like 1,000, like 1,400 or something.
Damn.
It was nothing. It was nothing, and it wasn't. I keep saying it wasn't at a convention center. It was at a hotel ballroom. The number of vendors were in like single digits, and I might be like wearing rose-colored glasses. I might be exaggerating a bit, but I really just remember it being this intimate, small, beautiful, fun thing where it felt more like a family reunion, you know, where you see like your cousins, you know, once or twice a year, and you all bond over this and that. Well, that's how I viewed VidCon, the first few VidCons. And it was lovely. And that's why I really liked Creator Clash last year. And I'm excited.
You mentioned that when we met there, you were like, this is like an old VidCon.
I kept saying that. Because those were the vibes. Like, for lack of a better comparison or term, it just felt like old ass VidCon before it got corporate. I know it's a fun buzzword, but like, it really, like, VidCon now. I haven't gone to the last few VidCons and I don't know if I ever will again, because it's not the same. It's just simply not the same. But Creator Clash was just it's fresh, it's brand new, it's too early to get corrupted. And
we did get to like sit around in like a little hotel ballroom. Like, we got to eat little snacks in there and hang out. It was very much that similar vibe.
It was such a great vibe. And I hope it happens every year.
Me too.
And I hope it takes a decade before it loses its charm. But yeah, old VidCon, man. God damn. It was a different beast.
Well, Hoover's gone to more than I have, right? How many have you gone to? Hooverr?
I've been to since 2017. I went to 2017, 18, 19, and then I didn't go to 20 because there obviously was COVID. But I was going for a while, and then it's just like now it's just like super like advertiser friendly, and it's like, oh, like come pick up the bag with like Snickers and Twix and like fucking M&Ms all over it. And I'm like, oh, cool, but like I don't really fucking care. Like, I have like 15 million people in the fucking convention center. So it's like,
it's that. And then it's the fact, like they sell those creator passes that are like $300. And then all you get for that is access to like the third floor where a bunch of 50-year-old men who have never even logged on to like the internet, they're like, here's how you can optimize your channel. I'm like, dude, do you even know what you're talking about? Like, what is this?
Yes. Yeah. It's just not the same. And they're like politics now in it. Like, you know what I mean? Like who gets invited and who does. And like, I don't know. It's just, oh man, the way it used to be. So like right in the middle. So like 2015-ish, like 14, 15, 16 maybe. Right. There were the big MCN parties, and you wanted to go to the maker party. You wanted to go to the collective. Oh my God. Like, I sound like such a dinosaur, but like, it was all about getting the bracelets, getting the wristlets or whatever. The paper bands for that night's party. And you'd always have to like ask around, like, which one are you going to? Who let you in?
That's the fun part.
Can you get me into the maker party tonight? Like, can you get me into this and that? And it was all about what party would you get into. And I don't think that's a thing anymore, but those were fun. Like that culture is gone now, right? I don't know. It's just, so now the last VidCon I ever went to, the most fun I had was at an Airbnb somewhere, because someone threw a party well outside, where VidCon was, outside Anaheim or whatever, or at least the outskirts of town, at an Airbnb somewhere. And that's where all the creators went. Like all the creators were there. And I'm just ripping shots with Eric, and insert name here and there. And we had a fucking blast. And that was the most fun I had at VidCon, was not at VidCon,
Yeah.
So I don't know, but Creator Clash, I'm fucking there every time, I'll never fight, but I'll be there, I'll be at the bar. Find me at the bar in Creator Clash. I won't be far.
Exactly. It's a lot of fun to just be like ringside and cheer on your friends as they all get the shit beaten out of them.
It's so much fun. Well, I was ringside, literally. Like I walked out with Eric, for his fight. I was nervous as shit. Because Eric did not win his fight. He took a few hits, and it's terrifying, right?
Yeah,
and
it
I'm
is.
as close could be. Like I'm right there. I'm ringside, as I keep saying. And it was a bit nerve wracking because that's your guy, man. That's your boy. After that fight, though, I had so much fun because then I got to I got to sit in the stands. I must not have been far from you, man. But after then, it's like, oh yeah, I hope these guys beat the fuck up out of each other. Like, let's go. All bets are off.
I don't know
my
any
boy
of these
Eric's
motherfuckers.
good. Eric lived. He's good. He's being taken care of. Let's go.
Yeah, because the thing for me was like I was a guest of Matt Watson, so he went up first.
Oh shit! Okay.
And like I had been living with him for like the month prior. I was watching him prepare for it, and then he walks out, and I'm like, yes, Matt, go, Matt. I was like,
he got his.
I was like
wrong,
messing around with Nathan's, like one of the guy that he walked out with. It was like some WWE wrestler. Like I was trying to beef with him as a joke. I was like, yeah, this is so fun. And then it started, and he just like immediately just got flung around. I was like, oh my. There was a part of me who was like, oh my God, like, is he okay? Like, I was literally like, oh, that's like,
no, that was
scary.
tough to see. It was a very one-sided fight, that one.
Yeah.
It was the first one of the night. What a way to start.
He actually was on right before you, and his episode is going out on Monday, and we actually covered that a little bit.
Nice.
His little fight.
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, his it was just, I don't know. It was a very cool event overall. It was very sick.
I'm ashamed to admit I didn't know much about Matt or Ryan. Just nothing about. I didn't know much about Super Mega before that night, before that weekend. Yeah, I've since done my homework. They're funny fucks. They are really
so
funny guys.
So funny.
I love what they do.
They are like, as like to me sometimes like. As someone that like tries to be a funny person, sometimes you meet people that are so funny where like everything they say like, oh God damn it, like I don't know how you do it.
Yes. Even
that's literally them.
Their office, like where they shoot their podcast and where they do their Let's Plays, where they film everything. Even that is hilarious. So I was there for like I did a podcast with them last year, so I got the tour of their place, their office. God damn, it's just like wall to wall with fucking jokes and joke posters. Literally. And I was like taking pics of my phone because I was like, just like you, I was like, God damn it, this is so funny. Like they just have a wall of Minecraft books. They have a wall opposite the bathroom. They have a wall of posters that are all like, it's all boomer jokes and stuff. It's like, I'd rather be fishing. It's like, it's just really funny stuff to me. Like all ironic, all beautiful. Yeah, they're funny dudes.
They're very funny. And their office, not only funny, is very comfortable because I also went there for a pod.
Oh, you went there too? Okay, shit. I'm just preaching to the choir, man. I don't have to tell you.
It was I don't know. It's just like a beautiful location as well. Those boys have really figured it out. Like I gotta hand it to them.
They have an operation.
They really do. I have so much respect for them, and their work ethic also is just insane.
I know. They are. Yeah, they're workhorses, and I respect the shit out of that.
So I guess also YouTube Rewind. Let's quickly cover that.
Hell yeah.
If I remember this correctly, I remember you one time talking about how like you did like the Irish jig or something in a YouTube Rewind and it ended up not being included. Right.
Really hurtful. Really hurtful that they wouldn't. No, it's just like it's so YouTube Rewind. And I've only been a part of 2, maybe 3. I don't know. I have sincerely lost track because this is back in 2016, 15, something like that. But what they do is they tell you that you're going to be a part of this scene. And what they do is they shoot too much stuff. They shoot too much footage just so that, because YouTube Rewind is basically just like one big music video, or it was, RIP, to a real one. But they would gather you in a scene and there'd be some light choreography, some loose idea of what the scene is. But then they would just like shoot, I don't know, everyone doing something. So for that Irish jig thing, I think they had everyone come into like the center circle and do something while they had a cameraman do like a 360 around you and whatever. And you could do whatever you want. You could mug to the camera. You could do whatever you want. So I just thought like, I'm the goofy jokester of this group. I'll do an Irish jig. I don't river dance competitively or at all, but I thought like that could be fun. So it didn't make the rewind cut, but they gave me the footage of me river dancing, and then like it's in some it's in a Jackass somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where I remember seeing it.
Yeah. And so that was, they're fun to be a part of, the rewinds, or they were fun to be I keep forgetting it's dead and never coming back. R.I.P. But they were fun. They're always corny, but like it was an honor to be invited to that, you know. And I always said yes, but yeah, I miss it. I do miss it. I understand why they wouldn't bring it back, because the last couple just got absolutely roasted in the dislikes back when we could see those too. But I don't know. I secretly hope they will bring it back just for the sake of tradition. But
I think so too. I think, like,
you know,
the thing is, I always loved them, even if like I would, you know, shit on them a little bit. Right. But it was like, it was one of those things where a part of me definitely didn't realize what we had until it was gone. Yes. It was like a fun little thing where it's like, oh, it's the end of the year. Because like the first year when they didn't actually do it, I was like, oh, I actually kind of liked it. I think the internet for the last couple, I kind of understand why people got a little bit more like annoyed with them more than usual, because they became a lot more commercial, and there was a lot more like actual celebrities instead of just YouTubers. And like
like, what's Will Smith doing here? What's
exactly
like
Fortnite?
These guys, they're not YouTubers.
Exactly.
Right. No, I'm with you. Yes, there was a point, much like VidCon, where it did get too commercialized. Like, no, this takes all the charm out of it. Like, that's when YouTube starts turning into like ThemeTube, turning into corporate tube, and it's like, no, stop doing that. Like, economically, I get it. Like, yeah, I guess you kind of have to, but then it's like, well, you've killed it. You've killed this.
Exactly, because the charm was that you would get like Grace Helbig doing some like random like reference to a music video. It wasn't the fact that like, oh, The Rock has like his team upload videos on the website, so he's a part of us. Like, no, he's not.
No,
like, he doesn't even want to be a part of us. He just like probably got, you know, paid a little bit to show up in there. So it was like
exactly.
It's just, I don't know. To me, it was it was a shame. But I always go back to the earlier ones, especially, and I'm like, oh man, those were like, because I remember it was like. The 2012 one was the one that I remember like really vividly for the first time. I was like, because that was the year of the Gangnam Style, and like, you know, like you had like Freddie Wong and like Barely Political, and like all these like old
Barely Political. Holy moly!
Barely Political. Shit. You and Barely Political were like my top two for a while in like the early 2010s. That's awesome. Because wait a minute, I think like the guy that was in Barely Political, his name was, I think it was Mark Douglas. I think
that sounds right. Yeah, I don't know for a fact, but I it kind of sounds like the guy from Barely Political. Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy that my two goats were Jack Douglas and Mark Douglas.
That is weird. That's a weird bias you have there.
What the hell?
It is. I love Douglas's apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Oh, that's fun.
Before we wrap up, Hooverr, do you have anything you want to add?
Listen, I mean, I'm sorry for being so quiet, but it is just like, there is this one thing that like, you know, it's been on my mind, and, you know, we kind of talked about VidCon, but like, why did you ruin WheezyWaiter's performance at VidCon?
Oh my God. Wow. I don't remember what I had for breakfast today, let alone, but I have some. Okay. Yeah. What can you remind me what the bit was? Like, I know I walk out on stage and do something.
Yeah, because WheezyWaiter, obviously, as everyone remembers very vividly, WheezyWaiter was at VidCon 2014. He was on stage.
2014? Is that what it was?
2014. Yes, of course. I can't believe you forgot it already, man. I mean, oh my God. You forget the WheezyWaiter performance of 2014, but I mean, he was up on stage, he was playing guitar, and then he just came out on stage, and you're like, you suck. You're just telling him that you suck, and you're like, those 20 seconds I'll never get back. And then he runs off stage, and like he's like doing this whole thing on like the TV, but then he comes back, and you're so angry at him. You're like, still 20 seconds I'll never get back. And I'm like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, WheezyWaiter's a saint.
Wow, he is a saint. First off, smart, talented dude. Wow. Sorry. Flashbacks. I haven't thought about that since 2014.
I think about it every day.
Wow. Do you? Yeah, dude.
It really, yeah. Hooverr brings it up to me a lot. He's like, I just,
I'm like,
when I
take me back
talked
to
about bringing you
2014.
on, Hooverr was like, I'm not too sure about that guy. Do you remember what he did to WheezyWaiter? I was like, I don't fucking remember. And he was
I'm
like,
like,
well,
how do you forget?
Tell you.
Like it.
Wow.
It was like a moment of infamy. I was like, what the hell?
That is really funny. Like and that's, you know what? That's another thing I'll miss about VidCon. Doing stuff like doing fun bits like that on stage. Not that that was a
Tormenting
bit. That was
WheezyWaiter.
real. That was real. That wasn't scripted. I just wanted to come out and ruin his fucking day. But I'm glad I ruined your day.
Like that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry, but I don't
regret it.
That's fucked up.
I would do it again. I would
Okay.
gladly do it again.
Okay. Well.
But no, like I've been a part of like going like this all goes back to like, the good old days. You don't know what you got till it's gone. Like, there were so many cute, fun little bits that I did in VidCon and Playlist over the years too. Playlist is another one that is also like Playlist has got. I don't know if you guys have ever been to. Have you ever been to a Playlist in Orlando?
I've never been, but I've heard a lot about it. I have friends that have been.
It used to be like it was marketed to me by a friend as like the more chill VidCon, and it totally was that for a while. And it was in Orlando, Florida, so you would go to Disney World or Universal for a day or something like that. Whatever, it was fine. It was fun. The last Playlist I went to was 2020. It was February of 2020, right before the world shut down, right on the brink of that. You start hearing like news reports, like, man, this COVID thing sounds like a rough deal. Glad it'll never come here in the States. But seriously, like that was like on everyone's minds in February. So we were in our whatever number, 5th or 7th, I don't even know, Playlist. And that was the year where I was too old for Playlist. Like it never hit me any other year, but 2020 was the year of the TikToker.
Yeah.
And 90% of the people invited to Playlist, of the creators invited to Playlist Live, were TikTokers. And that was a culture that I really, really didn't get and understand, comprehend. And they're all half my age. And that was when I was like, okay, I am officially too old for Playlist. And it was a very sad day. But before then, I did all sorts of fun planned bits. I'm sure I did Your Grammar Sucks live at a Playlist or VidCon or something. I probably make fun of WheezyWaiter again at Playlist.
Dude, what the fuck is your problem? I'm sorry.
I probably pulled down his pants or something. I probably did something epic. Yeah, it's a simpler time. You could pull down a man's pants and those stupid libs. Those libs wouldn't get so mad. Those snowflakes. It's not the same.
You're on the same page with me on
WheezyWaiter
that.
snowflakes. The WheezyWaiter army.
That's what he calls his fans, the snowflakes. Calls them the snowflakes, and I'm a snowflake
Holy
myself,
shit.
and I just had to bring that shit up because like that lived with me
Apparently.
in my heart. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys had this moment. I feel like it's been a little bit therapeutic for Hooverr. I think he's,
Yes.
you can
It's
tell
good
that
to get off my chest. I feel like it's
cathartic.
a better place now.
at some point, in the middle of the podcast, I was noticing he was like shaking in his seat a little bit. His face was turning red. The anger was pulsating through his
to get it
veins.
out. I was like, I'm waiting for it. I want to see it. Like he's gonna.
Tell.
I know he's gonna backpedal because he's WheezyWaiter. But I was like, I can't wait for this.
But I gotta thank you for coming on. This was
Seriously.
an absolute blast. This was one of the
yes,
best podcasts we've done, and I really, really enjoyed talking to you. It was a pleasure. It really was.
Pleasure's all mine, fellas. Thanks so much for having me on. This was a fun trip down memory lane. I went to recesses in my brain that I didn't know I had. Worth it. Would do again.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
Well, I want to thank you everybody for listening. This has been COOLDOG with Jacksfilms. He's a small creator. He's hoping to blow up soon. So go check out his channel. Maybe drop a sub. He's really trying his best, and he has been for 17 years.
And if I do, if I might add, I do sub for sub. All right, so sub to me, I'll sub right back. Yeah.
Dude,
That's
You're
awesome.
already evoking some other old memories. This has been all about nostalgia today.
It really has. Yeah. Real nostalgia warp.
Exactly. Hooverr, do you have any parting comments?
Guys, I know that like I kind of get a little heated at the end of that, but like, you know, show all the love in the world to Jack, and also go show some love to WheezyWaiter as well.
He
Yes,
really needs it.
yes.
Seemingly, he's been tormented for years by this man.
I feel like I'm not gonna lie, like I can't imagine how much that's been eating him up too. Like,
It must be.
Definitely must be. It's been like what?
Well, I've
like,
been avoiding him since because I
my
dread
God.
that confrontation. Yeah,
You gotta call him up and
No.
say, Wheezy, I love you, man. But
I should. I know
God.
we gotta break some bread.
Well, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys next week, as always, in the Doggy Dog House and the Cool Dog House. See you guys later. Bye bye.